This book is like nothing I've ever read. A mixture of thriller, horror, a tad little sprinkle of gay romance, and some mistaken or rather stolen identity that leads to a world of trouble and a little uncovering of some dark secrets. Better the Devil by Erik J. Brown is such an amazing book. One that I didn't originally think I was going to read or even like based off the beginning of the book, but oh boy, was I wrong. This story follows a young queer runaway who's run away from his parents due to them not accepting him being gay. Now, he ends up getting caught after a couple months on the run, but instead of admitting who he is, he instead claims to be Nate Beaumont, a young 6-year-old that mysteriously vanished a few years back. Nate would be the same age as our main character, and they share a similar resemblance. But once at the Beaumont's house, he starts to realize some weird things are happening, and it's very likely that Nate didn't run away, and that his fate was far darker than what he expected. Now, this book takes place in modern-day suburbia. Think rich, nice houses. The kind of place you would see a fence, guarded, gated community. It's not a gated community, but where every house looks really expensive. That kind of thing. And this setting, while being modern day, can seem kind of generic, but in truth, it really adds to the horror and suspense of this book. Now, the main character of this book doesn't actually have a name, at least one we're ever told. He literally is just referred to as the queer runaway character, until he takes on Nate Beaumont's identity. Then he goes by Nate, but I don't think we ever find out his actual birth name first or last, which is kind of interesting, and I love how it leaves us, the reader, in the dark, just like everyone else is in the dark of who he is. Now, the main character is driven by the fact he does not want to go home. He really wants to find a better life for himself. And unfortunately, due to some issues along the way, he's kind of forced to take on this possibly unalived kid's identity. Now, soon after going to the house, our little fake Nate soon realizes things are not what they seem and starts to suspect the parents. The loving, doting mother who is very cautious and just happy her baby boy is back home. The father who's a little less convinced of our fake Nate's identity and presence, and also has apparently quite the foul temper. And of course, Nate's doting and loving older brother who was heartbroken when Nate went missing. Add in a spontaneous and kind of wild grandma, and a next-door neighbor who fake Nate kind of develops the hots for, that was best friends with the real Nate before he went missing, and you've got our cast of characters. Well, that and a burnout. And of course, an old FBI cop who just can't seem to let this case slide. Fake Nate is relatable to some people out there who may feel unwanted or loved by their family due to religious intolerance. Now, because of this, mind you, I do have to say this book's warning contains that, along with some graphic detail of unaliving, so just be warned. And of course, there's swearing. Now, fake Nates can come off as kind of relatable, again, to some people, but for the most part, I myself found no connection to the character. but it didn't stop me from enjoying this horror thriller. Better the Devil was such an amazing book. And I think Erik J. Brown did such an amazing job with it. Everything was well thought out. The plot was chef's kiss. I loved it. I will admit that a little bit before halfway through the book, I kind of realized who did it. But the big reveal was still worth it. It was still a shock. And the ending, oh my goodness. The ending I did not see coming. It was really something. I think the book kind of ended on a sad note, sadder than what I hoped. But it ended on a note that I wasn't expecting either. So I was really surprised. I was really surprised of how Mr. Erick chose to end this book. Now, strengths and weaknesses. This book's premise was really good. I've never heard of another book like Better the Devil exactly. I'm sure there are books about runaways and murders and unalivings and stuff like that. Most definitely. I mean, that's one of the oldest mystery suspense book tropes is a runaway and a murder most foul. But Better the Devil was the first book I've ever read that covered these topics. And I think it was a pretty amazing read because of this. Now, the characters were really believable. I really fell in love with the Beaumont, how you say it, family. And honestly, I was so heartbroken when I realized it was insinuating that one of them had something to do with Nate's disappearance. And this book has a happy ending for some, an unhappy ending for others. But yeah, this book is full of so many twists and turns. I honestly thought that the book would not end the way I wanted it to. And in a way, the ending was something I didn't expect, but gosh darn was it so good. Now, the cons or the weaknesses to this book, definitely the fact that I realized the person who did it pretty early, not first page, but before halfway through the book, I was like, yep, that's the one. And a lot of people who have reviewed this book have said the same thing. But I think even if you can't figure out who did it, there's nothing wrong with that. And that might make the book even better. But if you do realize who it is and think, I as well put this book down, it's not worth the read, it's not worth the time and effort, don't do that. Do not deprive yourself the chance to read Better the Devil. It is so good, and that's really the only kind of con there is with this book, in my opinion. Now, this is a young adult novel, so older people like myself, you might find this book a little kind of, not worth it in a way. But as an adult myself, I really enjoyed Better the Devil. I thought it was a believable book, and it was really interesting. Seeing the different aspects come to life on the page. If you are a young adult, I think you will definitely enjoy this book. It definitely has a lot of thrills to it that may be more connecting wise to younger adults, since again this is a young adult book. I think that people who are fans of murder mystery and thrillers will enjoy this book, as long as you're not expecting something like Sherlock Holmes level intrigue, because you're not going to get that. This book is not that deep. But yeah, it was, I think the audience for this book, which is young adults and people like me who are older, I think it's a good audience book and a book that people will enjoy. Now, would I recommend this book? Most certainly. Again, I loved it. I thought it was well done. The plot was so good that, you know, even having a major part of it kind of already predicted, um, I still didn't see it coming. And it was such a good read because of that. I love how a book can literally make it seem like this is the main reason. And it's kind of like, yeah, you know, you have the answer already, but the rest of the book's going to get you. Which I think is an amazing way for books to behave and act when it comes to the writing and everything. And I think Erik J. Brown did an amazing job with this book. Because of that, I do want to rate this 5 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts. Which, again, I've shown on the channel, it's not a definite thing. In the sense of what I'll rate it. But this one's definitely a 5 out of 5. Recommend. It was wonderful. It was amazing. And I think that it's well worth a read for anyone looking for this type of book. I don't know if Erik J. Brown has written other books, but if he has, I would recommend looking at them as well. I think he did a fantastic job writing this book again, and I don't know, it's one of my favorites so far this year that is non-gay romance. It doesn't focus on the gay romance specifically. That's kind of the back pedal of the story. And like it's sprinkled in there, it's not really there. It's mainly, you know, the main character's gay identity. But yeah. I think all in all, I keep saying this, but it's so true. I love this book. That's going to be it for this review. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like on the video. I appreciate it. And let me know in the comments down below. As usual, is this a pick up or put down book for you? Are you interested in this book? Or is this a book you feel like you want to pass on? And if you have read the book, let me know, did you enjoy it or did you hate it? Remember, keep it spoiler free for those who have not yet read the book. The next review will be a part of the Grim MM fairy tale series. That review and book is for adults only, so please be aware of that. And let's just say that book really had me feeling a certain way. I will see you next Friday with that book review. And as always, keep reading, stay cozy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.